Good morning. Welcome to the Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee for today, August 15th. This is a change in the time and date due to the election last week. I've been joined by Council Members Warsami, Fry, and Quincy, which is a quorum of the committee. We have a lengthy consent agenda that I'm going to move first. They include items 6 through 14. Are there any items anyone would like to pull? Items 7 actually through 14. Seeing none, I'll move the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. If you're here for those items, you no longer have to remain here. We'll start with the public hearing. Well, you're welcome to stay for the committee meeting should you want to do that. We'll start with the public hearings, items 1 through 6, starting with item number 1, which is a land sale for the expansion of North Point Health and Wellness. Ms. Grossen, welcome.
Chair Goodman and committee members, I'm Beth Grossen, Senior Project Coordinator at CPED. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider sale of 7 parcels at the southeast and southwest corners of Penn and Plymouth Avenue. The sale would be to Hennepin County's Housing and Redevelopment Authority for a major expansion of North Point Health and Wellness Center, including a parking structure and commercial development. This is a large and important project involving over $70 million in new investment for North Minneapolis. The city of Minneapolis has owned the commercial lots for over 20 years. The southeast site is 1.3 acres and is zoned C2. The southwest site is 0.81 acre and is zoned OR2. North Point Health and Wellness Center is a 67,000 square foot, 2-story federally qualified health center and Hennepin County's Department of Primary Care. North Point now serves over 24,000 patients with over 90,000 visits per year. An additional 10,000 residents receive social services provided in the North Point Inc. building. The North Point campus includes medical, dental, behavioral health, pharmacy, laboratory, social services, chemical dependency, computer lab, and nonprofit partner organizations. The Hennepin County Board of Commissioners has committed to expand and renovate North Point to better serve its growing client base. Following approval of this land sale, the expansion and renovation will begin later this year. Development around the intersection will be done in phases. Is there a way to zoom in?
It's pretty zoomed.
Oh, okay. First, on the southeast corner, Thor Development Group LLC will develop and build a commercial building, including a 600-stall parking structure wrapped with retail and 2 stories of office space. Hennepin County will purchase 420 parking spaces from Thor after construction is completed. Thor plans to have their headquarters here and also lease commercial space to support entrepreneurs in North Minneapolis.
So, Ms. Grossen, do you want us to ask questions as we go along, or do you want us to wait until the end?
If you don't mind, I'd like to go over all of the phases first. Secondly, on the southwest corner, in 2017, the county will construct a new facility for Estes Funeral Chapel so they can move across the street to a new structure of a similar size. Third, on the northwest corner will be the North Point campus expansion, which involves construction in 2018 of additions to the north and south of the current North Point building. The net new additional space will be 74,000 square feet after the demolition of the existing Estes Funeral Chapel and the North Point Inc. building, which is up there. Fourth will be the complete renovation of the existing North Point Center's facility. And finally, when all the expansion or renovation is completed in about 2020, Hennepin County will offer the existing North Point parking area north of the Urban League building for redevelopment. Shifting to the land transaction itself, the city land was appraised at $5.75 per square foot for the southeast parcels and $5 per square foot for the southwest parcels for a total of $505,000. However, this value does not include the environmental cleanup, which is expected to be significant, well in excess of $800,000, which is greater than the appraised value. Hennepin County has agreed to be responsible for all environmental cleanup costs, and in return, the city will sell its property for $1. The term sheet before you details the critical business points that ensure high-quality development will occur on 3 of the 4 corners at Penn and Plymouth. These developments will complement the activity on the Urban League corner and the nearby neighbors. Thor will purchase the land on the southeast corner from Hennepin County after receiving city planning approvals this fall. Following necessary brownfield cleanup work, Thor will begin construction of the large commercial and parking building on the southeast corner, which is next to UROC. A public open house was held July 26th with Northside Residents Redevelopment Council kind of jointly hosting it. I received an email response early this morning from Martine Smaller, the NERC Executive Director. I believe those comments have been distributed to you, and there's also some available for the public. She wrote, though the event was well attended by Hennepin County, North Point, and other employees working directly on this project, there were only about 10 NERC residents present. Given the turnout, NERC does not have a strong sense of community perspectives on this proposal. However, after the open house, NERC residents and board members expressed the following concerns. Hennepin County's resistance to implement a community benefits agreement, that the southeast corner of Penn and Plymouth went to Hennepin County from the city without a formal RFP process, that $14 million of tax money will be used to pay for parking, and that these corners had the potential to anchor a commercial corridor or destination point that brings dollars to North Minneapolis, that they are being relegated to businesses and services that are not assets to immediate residents. I and CPED leadership are available to answer any questions. I believe we have representatives from Hennepin County, North Point, Estes, and Thor here as well today.
Thank you for your report. I have a couple of questions. Why are we giving the land to Hennepin County to then deal directly with Thor? Why aren't we doing a direct land sale to Thor? Councilmember
Goodman, I think the primary reason is that Hennepin County had been the party that wanted to kind of arrange the entire redevelopment and to make certain that there was parking available for North Point. And honestly, they wanted to retain the right to have a different developer in the event that something didn't turn out for Thor. So they wanted certainty in controlling, all of the city-owned land. Because
well, I'm sure they did, but I guess it raises the question that the neighbors raised, which is that there was no formal RFP process, and we're essentially abdicating our citizen participation role by just saying, okay, county, you deal with it. I'm okay with that if we're not being asked to fund this. So I guess that gets to my next question. We're not being asked to fund a single penny of this, correct?
That is correct.
So in a sense, Hennepin County is taking over as the primary agency for redevelopment of this corner. And as such, we're just saying, North Point's been trying to do this for, I think, as long as I've been on the council. So Hennepin County, I want to be clear, as you're saying out loud, is not asking us to contribute a penny to the Thor deal or the parking or the Estes Funeral Home move or their parking or the expansion of North Point. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. That might be the answer to why the property went to the county. Instead of, if there was going to be public assistance requested, I would insist on an RFP to make it fair to anyone else who wanted to participate. But if Hennepin County wants to take the responsibility themselves, then the public should be talking to Hennepin County about what their concerns are. We're just passing through the money, the land to facilitate the development, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
However, Thor will be meeting all of the regular city review process. Yeah, the city isn't giving up any of its authority related to the redevelopment standards.
Oh, no, of course. They would comply with our entitlement process, but they're usually above and beyond our entitlement process. So I don't anticipate a problem with that. But my big thing is about money. If we are going to be putting money of any kind, so I'm looking right at you, my friends, don't come asking us for anything, just to be clear, not one penny of anything. I see you shaking your heads, so you're clear about that. Because then it kicks in our process, and it's fair for NERC to be asking questions about why we did this without an RFP. We're passing this all over to the county and saying, you guys work it out. And I just want to make sure that all we're doing is putting our land in to facilitate all of these good things happening. Okay. Other questions for Ms. Grossen? Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, thank you for your report. There are a number of people here on this item today. I don't know if anyone would like to speak, but I am going to open the public hearing on the land sale of the expansion North Point Health and Wellness Center. A number of properties involved, including a reorganization of the corner with the various entities involved. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? None? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Warsami.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I happily move approval of this item.
Item number 1 has been moved by Councilmember Warsami. Are there further comments or questions? Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank those that are investing their time and money in this particular project. It's a beautiful rehabilitation and revamp in some cases of several key blocks.
On Councilmember Warsami's motion to approve, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. Thank you all for being here for that today. We'll move on to item number 2, which is the CPED Business Licenses and Consumer Services Agenda, starting with item number 2, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have an application today by Star Investments Incorporated for an on-sale liquor license, Class B with Sunday sales for the Bullwinkle Saloon site, which is 1429 Washington Avenue South. The trade name will continue to be Bullwinkle Saloon and Fun Bar. This has been a on-sale liquor establishment since at least 1977 and through 2014. This is in the Cedar Riverside neighborhood in the 6th Ward. Star Investments, Inc. Is comprised of 3 owners, Raj Singh, Jai Devinder Singh, and Corey Couliard. Will be the owners, and Corey Couliard will be the general manager of the business. The fire occupancy for the first floor is 166 persons and 88 persons on the mezzanine level. The kitchens and restrooms remain on the main floor of the building. They will operate as a traditional restaurant and bar, offering live entertainment, including bands, DJs, dancing, and etc. A public hearing is required because they're upgrading to a Class B license. We notified all residents and property owners within 600 feet of the premises. We also notified the neighborhood business associations and residents associations. As of today's date, we've received no response. Staff recommendation is to grant this application.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 2? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 2, which is a new business license for Bullwinkle Saloon and Fun Bar. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good morning. My name is Corey Couliard, one of the owners. This is Nick, our kitchen manager, chef. We just want to say we're excited to open up Bullwinkle's. There's a lot of history. So,
Would you like to say something to yours, sir?
I'm Nick Malia. I'll be the chef and kitchen manager. Just thrilled that we've gotten this far, and it's going to be a fun opportunity.
Well, thank you very much for being here and for providing that testimony today. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Warsami.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I happily move approval of this item as well.
Item number 2 has been moved for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item number 3, Scratch Lounge and Grill.
Madam Chair, we have an application by Scratch Made LLC, doing business as the Scratch Grill and Lounge at 408 3rd Avenue North. They are seeking an on-sale liquor license with Sunday sales, Class B entertainment, and a sidewalk cafe. This site has been similarly licensed, but it only had the Class 2 entertainment, so this is an upgrade. This is in the North Loop neighborhood in Ward 3, and it is a permitted use in this downtown zoning district. Seating capacity inside is for 120 persons. Outside on the sidewalk cafe is 28. Requesting hours of operation on the inside from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. daily, and the exterior seating 11 a.m. to 10:30 daily. We have a sole 100% owner, Rachel Blatter. Ms. Blatter has operated this establishment in the same location from June 2014 to 2015. They will offer a variety of entertainment with featuring local bands and things like that. Public hearing is required for this upgrade. We did notify all residents and property owners within 450 feet. We notified the North Loop Neighborhood Association, the Downtown Neighborhood Association, and the Warehouse District Business Association. As of today, we received no responses from that notification process. Staff's recommendation is that you approve the license.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 3? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 3, which is a new business license at Scratch Grill and Lounge. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
I'm Rachel Blainer. I am the owner of Scratch Grill and Lounge. It is the last underdeveloped block in the North Loop, and I'd love to reopen my business again to that area and just bring more positivity and good food.
Sounds good. Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll happily move approval of this item and speak to it for a second. You know, you're absolutely right. This is one of the very last underdeveloped blocks in North Loop, and I think it provides some activity and infrastructure to a gap that presently exists. So we're thrilled to have your beverage, your food, as well as the activity that you're providing along with this the outdoor seating. So thank you. Happily move approval.
On Councilmember Fry's motion to approve, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 4, Shin's Hair Salon. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We do have an application by Shin's Hair Salon. They are located at 211 Oak Street Southeast on the 2nd floor, and they currently have a place of entertainment license to provide karaoke, and they're asking right now for a extended hours of operation license. They are currently allowed to be open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. during the week and to 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. They are seeking to extend their hours on Friday and Saturday until 3 a.m. A public hearing is required for this extended hours license, and we did notify all residents and property owners within 300 feet. We did notify the Stadium Village Commercial Association and the Mid-City Industrial Neighborhood Association. We received no responses for or against this application. Staff recommendation is to approve.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 4? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 4, which is a new license for Shin's Hair Salon. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Warsami.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of this item.
Item number 4 has been moved for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll then move on to item number 5, which are the 2017 proposed license fees. Mr. Ruff, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Mark Ruff, the city's Chief Financial Officer. Each year by September 1st, the city is required to hold a public hearing on business licenses. The proposal for 2017 is not to change any of the license fees. The public hearing notice was published in Finance and Commerce, was also sent to businesses on July 12th. The city did receive 3 comments by email. Comments largely were supportive of the fact that there would be no change in fees. Certainly happy to answer any questions, but with that, it is a matter of just, I think, process of affirming what the city's been doing in the past, and certainly will be open to any comments that the committee may have.
Mr. Ruff, I'm just wondering if you can speak a little bit to what's going to happen from here. This perhaps is the last year of a no business fee increase, correct?
Sure. Madam Chair, members of the committee, a number of factors have been brewing over the last couple of years. One is the city is implementing a new computer software program that's commonly known as ELMS, or the Enterprise Land Management System, that should automate some functions and provide some efficiencies in the business licenses process. 2 is there are a number of business licenses, I think, that do need to be reevaluated just from a standpoint of equity and fairness. And so much like what happened with the rental housing license program, we may be in 2018 recommending some changes to how we undertake business licenses. And 3rd is we as the finance department are working with the other 3 departments responsible for business licensing to just look at revenues versus expenses and make sure by state law that those match up. We do anticipate coming back to this committee in early 2017 with some potential recommendations for the committee's consideration, but certainly we'll be undertaking that with adequate time for all affected businesses to comment as well.
Are there other questions for Mr. Ruff on item number 5? Seeing none, thank you for your report. We'll open the public hearing on item number 5 and ask if there's anyone here to speak to this issue. Mr. Shields, did you want to speak to this issue? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Mark Shields, 3117 44th Avenue. I'm here to talk about the fees in general, not asking you to change anything today. I guess the reason I would be asking to speak today is to not wait for consideration of fees in the taxi business for another year and a half, or whatever it takes to consider all those things. The reason I'm want to speak in the subject generally as opposed to opposed or against is the taxi business, I guess I assume, is not paying its fair share. And I'm hoping that could be considered so that we could get more consideration. And I think we deserve that from the standpoint the city council and the city of Minneapolis has been regulating taxis since the 30s. And they have created our business. And by created, that's not accurate, but they've created what the business is today. And by that, I mean both the structure of the business, they control it, and the pricing, which not 100% control, but just about. And for any response to our competition requires new thoughts and whatever. One thing that in terms of pricing, not pricing, but fees, that I hope could get a consideration is possible cab stands. It's become apparent to me that if you want to use meters, you pay for them. And that maybe something could created so that the taxi industry could pay for some taxi stands and recover some of our horrible losses. And like I said, also the fee structure, which is not what we're here for today. The problem is I work for a cab company. I work for as an employee in the office, but I'm here speaking for myself. I've been in the taxi business for 30 years. I worked during the Super Bowl. I picked up at Moby Dick's. I've been around a little while, and have been an observer of all most aspects of the taxi business. From a driver, I was a cab owner, and as a manager in the taxi business for 2 different companies now. But we only, the fees we provide, they're only in the $500,000 range. But I was hoping that we could get maybe more consideration than that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today. I'll let you know that the 2 people dealing with cabs the most are Councilmember Fry and Morsami. So hearing your comments is probably a good thing. They've been most active of the new council members and working on taxi cab issues. So to hear your comments was good. So thank you for being here today.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of the fee schedule for 2017.
Approval has been moved. Are there further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to our last remaining item, which is item number 15. Ms. Stern. Stern, welcome.
Madam Chair, I believe that there's a quasi-judicial matter.
All right. I guess we have to do the quasi-judicial first. Sorry. Sorry, Emily. Councilmember Fry on item 6.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have one item on our quasi-judicial agenda for today, and it's dealing with heating, air conditioning, and ventilation Class B license revocation. And here to present that item, I don't know who's here to present that item, but Grant, go for it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Fry. The Minnesota Department of Revenue did notify us and send us a notice of license revocation requirement for a company that holds a heating, air conditioning, and ventilating license by the city of Minneapolis. The company is called All Cleaning Applications. We, as required by the statutes in this regard, we sent certified notification to All Cleaning Applications Company and advised them of today's hearing. We sent that certified mail. It did get returned to us unopened and undelivered. However, we did verify that the address provided to us by the company in their most recent application was of that one that we mailed it to. That said, we are required upon receipt of a notice of license revocation for debt to revoke all licenses within 30 days held by that company. They hold only the one, the heating, AC, and ventilating license at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Do we have any questions for staff at this time? Seeing none, I will go very quickly make a statement regarding what is allowed and what is not allowed regarding testimony. This is a public hearing. It's a quasi-judicial hearing of which only the owner and or the owner's representative may testify, and only the facts that have previously been presented at a previous hearing may be recounted. Items of clarification may be delivered. However, the City Council may not undergo any additional fact finding. Seeing that I have read that statement, is an owner or the owner's representatives here today? Is the owner or their representative here today? Owner or representative. Seeing that the owner and their representative is not here today, I will move approval of the decision to revoke by staff. Is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. And that item passes. Chair Goodman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Fry. We'll then move on to Ms. Stern's presentation on item number 15.
Good morning, Madam Chair, committee members. I'm Emily Stern with CPED Business Development. What you have before you today is a staff recommendation to award negotiating rights for development of a city-owned property located at 205 Park Avenue South. First, some background. The city of Minneapolis has owned 205 Park since 1992, when it was originally part of the larger Milwaukee Railroad Depot property. Since that time, and with substantial city assistance, the Mill District has grown up as a vibrant, established neighborhood with a highly desirable residential, retail, and cultural options. The Mill District is largely an affluent area with median household incomes 32% higher than the citywide average. Median rents in the area are 25% higher than citywide average. It's also an area that has seen some of the highest residential sale prices in the city. Now more on 205 Park. The 205 Park property has been a surface parking lot since the city bought it over 2 decades ago. Over the last decade, there were 2 development proposals for this site that were not completed due to a softened real estate market. All previous redevelopment contracts have been terminated. In April of this year, the city issued a request for proposals for this property. The city received proposals from 2 developers, Sherman Associates and Grand Real Estate Advisors. A staff team reviewed the proposals and today recommends awarding negotiating rights to Sherman Associates for 6 months. The report more fully describes the reasons for this recommendation, but I'd like to highlight 3 now. First, affordable housing. It is the city's policy to promote affordable housing options for low-income families, people of color, seniors, and those with special needs in neighborhoods and communities throughout the city. In addition, as part of a settlement agreement with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to a recent fair housing complaint, the city is reviewing all land use and housing policies, programs, and processes to determine whether they create barriers to fair housing choice. The sale of city-owned property is subject to this review to determine how the city promotes economically and racially integrative housing options. The city's ownership of 205 Park provides the city with a significant opportunity to proactively meet its goal and its obligation to affirmatively further fair housing by ensuring that affordable housing is produced in a high-income, amenity-rich area of the city. Sherman's project meets the city's affordable housing goals by committing to the inclusion, without public subsidy, of 20% of the units affordable to households with incomes at or below 60% of area median income. So this will be, there will be, of the 150 units, apartment units that they're proposing, 23 of those units, 20%, will be affordable to households with incomes at or below 60% of area median income. And these will be units actually larger than the average for the entire building. The average apartment unit size will be about 820 square feet. Most of the affordable units will be 2 bedrooms, so larger than that average. And in addition, there will be 4 for-sale townhomes incorporated as part of the overall project. The staff team favors Sherman's project because it would result in more affordable housing units and a greater level of affordability. Second, retail. The city's development goals for the site, as described in the RFP, call for maximizing ground floor retail and including retail at both corners of Park and Washington and Park and 2nd Street. Sherman's proposal accomplishes this objective with approximately 6,300 square feet of retail space. One space would be a bakery and the other would be a restaurant that serves breakfast, filling a retail niche lacking in the neighborhood currently. Established Minneapolis restaurateur Kim Bartman has provided letters of support to operate both the restaurant and the bakery. The staff team favors the retail component of Sherman's project because it includes substantially more space at both street corners and a firmer commitment from an established operator. Third, purchase price. Sherman has offered to purchase the site for approximately $3.25 million, which equates to $90 per square foot. Grand Real Estate presented 2 scenarios, one for a 5-story development with a land purchase price of approximately $1.5 million or $43 per square foot, and another for a 6-story development with a purchase price of about $1.9 million or $53 per square foot. Staff favors the Sherman purchase price since it is approximately double what Grand Real Estate offered for its 5-story scenario and about 1.7 times more than Grand Real Estate's offer for the 6-story scenario. Sherman's price also more closely reflects the fair market value for this property as indicated by an appraisal. Grand Real Estate's highest offer price is significantly lower than the appraised value, and the RFP explicitly states that the city will not sell the parcel for less than the fair market value. For those reasons, and for others described more fully in the report, Staff recommends that Sherman Associates be granted exclusive negotiating rights to 205 Park for up to 6 months. City staff and representatives of Sherman Associates would negotiate the terms of the sale and development of the property, and staff would return with a term sheet to City Council for consideration within the 6-month period. If the exclusive negotiating rights period with Sherman expires without a City Council approved term sheet, then staff is requesting council authorization to negotiate with Grand Real Estate Advisors to see if a deal can be structured within 6 months. Thank you for your time and attention. Now, I and other CPED leadership in the room would be happy to answer any questions, and Sherman Associates is also here, and they can answer any specific questions about their project. Thank you.
So I do have one question with regard to the 6-month amount of time. If the RFP was pretty explicit with regard to not selling the land below market value, why would we negotiate with the second applicant who came in so far below that it would basically equate to a subsidy?
Right. It would. I mean, one of the negotiating points would be to increase from the city standpoint. Our goal would be to increase their offer or purchase price to what is fair market value. That would be one of the deal points.
Okay, but should that not happen, we're happy to hang on to the property, see it increase
Sure,
in value, use it for parking in the area, generate revenue, and be done with it, correct?
Absolutely.
Because we're not intending to sell this below market value. That was one of the big criteria in the RFP.
Correct. That was very explicit in the RFP, and yeah, we're not planning on subsidizing the sale of the property.
Okay, and then I'm also interested in what staff has calculated the developer's cost to add the affordable at their own expense. I know we could probably calculate what we would think it would be. So do we have a number that would most adequately reflect what their cost is to subsidize the units at 60% for 20 or 15 years?
Andrew, would you like to speak to that?
Madam Chair, I'm George Sherman with Sherman Associates. The one way to calculate it is the difference between the rents of the affordable and the rents of the market rate. We're basically using the rents of the market rate to subsidize the rents of the affordable. The difference in rents are about right around $800 to $1,000 a month. On a capitalization rate, that would be somewhere around $150,000 to $200,000 per unit. Now, again, this is being subsidized by the market rate units. And so, it gets to be a little bit of a mix, not a specific, but without the use of low-income housing tax credits or TIF or other GAP funds, it's about $125,000 to $150,000 per affordable housing unit. For 23 units, that'd be about $3 to $4 million.
But you're not doing this for free. I mean, you're not charitable in nature, so you're making money on this. What percentage? I mean, are you in the general? Yeah, you have to tell me out loud. But are you in the general range of what we would consider a legitimate developer fee on this project? You're paying yourselves, plus you own it. So
plus, we're putting in, real cash, $4 or $5 million of real cash. We're not syndicating this. There are no tax credits, so there's no outside money coming into the project. We are, by doing it, what we are doing is we're using the market rate rents to subsidize the affordable. Hence, we're giving up, we're giving up some value of the project by doing that. That value is about $3 to $4 million
over the 15-year period.
Over the 15-year.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've been reviewing this proposal, and I just want to say that as a council member who's always actively recruiting developers to come to the 9th Ward to do affordable housing projects and private, development around businesses, and specifically, the Midtown Farmers Market, which is a project we've been working on for a long time. I'm just really thrilled to see this move forward. I think it's great to have affordable housing and more accessibility to the housing in the Mill District area. I'm excited to hear about the mix between the retail on the first floor and the housing up above. That's the mix that we always strive for in the 9th Ward, to keep our commercial corridors alive and well, because we know that's one of the primary ways that we can address crime and safety in the neighborhood, is by having busy streets with people shopping and building community and coming out to restaurants and concerts. So I'm very supportive of this project. I think it makes sense. I think it's smart. It's also really unique, and I'm excited to see what this is going to do in the area. So thank you for your work on this. And thank you to Mr. Sherman.
Are there any other questions for staff before we have our discussion? Okay, thank you for your report. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to highlight a few things as I was evaluating this conversation, whether we're going to be looking at the two options that were presented. First of all, I'm excited that the RFP was offered, and I think it was a good fit for the city as we try to advance our affordable housing goals, to include that as a requirement in RFP, as a preference anyway. As the chair of the Ways and Means Committee, I'm naturally very excited that there isn't a subsidy attached to this. And there's a couple of ways to look at the word subsidy. What are we trying to achieve, and is it worth that investment? We could have done this in other areas, as Mr. Sherman alluded to. We could have probably made some justification for a TIF investment. I don't know if there's any.
No, we wouldn't.
No, we wouldn't have done that. I was talking in more general terms. When we're looking at TIF, we're trying to do something for affordable housing. We're trying to do something about blight, or we're trying to do something about historical preservation. This particular parcel does not certainly meet those criteria. But in general, as we talk about subsidy, a TIF is an investment on the city to achieve one of those big goals, not needed in this area. So we appreciate that. Other ways to look at subsidy is what we're getting for the value of this property. And I think it would be irresponsible for us to look at it from a financial perspective of looking at two different values offered and not consider the lesser of those values to be a subsidy to achieve a development objective. So with those main objectives, I want to also point out why I favored this particular proposal. It wasn't just about the financing or the lack of a subsidy. It was certainly about the affordable housing policy that we're trying to always support. I was excited about the retail expansion and having both corners committed to that with a respected restaurateur in the city. I also noted that there was a dog park. I think actually some sort of dog facility was in both proposals, so I appreciate that. I love the look of this, especially what I call the promenade section that goes down towards the museum. There's a police substation in this. That wasn't really required, but it was a tremendous gesture, and I think that adds to the public safety, or at least the perception and feeling of people feeling more confident in this expanding area. So I'm very excited about that, and I think they've also addressed some parking concerns that could come up as we expand our city and as we try to achieve our goals, as well as the goals of the downtown council of having expanded population within downtown. So all those are met with this proposal. So I'm very excited about it, and just wanted to add my support to this project, as this is on a short-term basis. It's 6-month development rights, and then we look forward to a term sheet in the near future. Thank you.
Councilmember Orsami.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I would like to echo what Councilmember Quincy just said, and somebody who actually understands how important the safety center in Cedar Riverside has played in the Sherman properties. I welcome the fact that we're going to have a substation there. And also somebody who actually is advocating for more market rate properties in his ward, that this, the fact that it has market rate as well as low income is welcome as well. So thank you. Thank you to Sherman Associates as well.
Okay, I'm going to move approval of the staff recommendations. I want to make a couple of comments, and I'll then call on Councilmember Fry for the last word. Is that acceptable to you? I probably wouldn't have put this property on the market, and the whole time I was on the council, I didn't, mainly because I had this pilot project going with greening and an area for pet relief. And as the founder of a nonprofit that builds dog parks, this neighborhood has woefully inadequate areas for dogs, and to suggest that they go to the commons is ridiculous. If you've ever had an old dog that has to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, you're not walking to the commons, nor are you walking over to Gold Medal Park. So I probably would have focused on dogs, unlike others who focus on people. I just want to throw that out there. But now that we've been able to see what the market has brought forward, we have two proposals in front of us, ironically, by both developers who had also had exclusive development rights over the site over a period of time. Both Ms. Lucas and Mr. Sherman had development rights over this parcel during some tougher times in our city. So I think it's interesting that both of them were the two that responded. ultimately, we should be putting not one penny of public subsidy into this site. And by choosing this proposal, we're not. And that is perhaps the biggest draw for me. As someone who has been more involved than others in the HUD complaint against the city, I think it's very important to note that when we own property, we have a higher level of responsibility by both the federal and state government to ensure fair housing. And Councilmember Fry's suggestion that we put into the RFP explicitly that affordable housing be built on that site was born from a HUD complaint suggesting that we don't do enough of that. I'll also note that my neighborhood and Councilmember Cano's neighborhoods have had a number of situations where the staff recommendation and the council voted against what the neighborhood wanted. I'll just note that probably the biggest drama in my entire tenure on the council, Southwest LRT, is being shoved down the throats of my constituents who vehemently oppose it. And Councilmember Cano, I don't want to incite a drama here, is dealing with a transfer station and a public works facility in her ward where her constituents who arguably have been impacted are now going to be, are now don't like what the staff has recommended and are going to be trying to make a public works facility in their neighborhood something that's better. So ultimately, we do have to make decisions based on broader decisions about what's happening around us, despite the fact that neighbors would prefer something else. In my case, transportation, in Councilmember Cano's case, environmental concerns, and in this particular case, not subsidizing development in an affluent part of town and adding affordable housing that doesn't cost these same exact constituents any money. So I am hopeful that they can pull this together quickly, because if not, then my dog area stays in place. The surface parking that's much needed remains in that location, or Grand partners can offer market rate and move forward with their condo deal. But I do think that we have the responsibility, based on the accusations that have been made against a city that has done more for affordable housing than any other in the state of Minnesota, to walk the talk on affordable housing. And I think we have no choice but to do that. And I think the staff's recommendation is strong. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I would like to thank both development companies, Sherman and Associates, as well as Grand and Peggy Lucas and Tanya Bell. In particular, I know that Peggy Lucas has done a ton for the neighborhood. She was a pioneer from the very beginning in establishing several of these buildings along the riverfront, and undoubtedly it had a gigantic impact really up till today. And I also want to thank Sherman and Associates for putting together a beautiful proposal. Both proposals, in my opinion, were impressive. And then I finally appreciate staff's work and ultimately making a determination and coming up with a staff report. I know it was a long and in some cases arduous process. So, you know, as it was requested by the Neighborhood Association, I did go and talk to my colleagues, several of them, about this matter. And inevitably, we ran into the same two issues every single time. The first was unanimously, every single one of them liked the recommended proposal and would have been thrilled to have it in their ward. With the retail component, extensive retail, the public dog park, the police substation, as well as the mixed income. By the way, 80% of this particular development is market rate, with the 20% that is affordable being, with having no subsidy, being financed directly by the developer being a key facets. And the second piece was, I mean, really tough to get around. And that is the issue that the market value of the parcel is substantially more than was offered. We wrote explicitly in the RFP that we were not going to accept below market value, and subsidizing the development on a particular parcel in one of the in a very wealthy area of town, it didn't work. And so I do understand and respect the value of owner-occupied and the sentiment of the neighborhood in this particular area. It does contribute to to stability, as well as more people that are attending neighborhood associations. That's undoubtedly the truth. And we do have a very large owner-occupied development. In fact, it's about 370 units, 7 times the number that we're talking about in this particular proposal. It's going just a couple of blocks away. Now, while I value the owner occupied, I do think that the people ultimately living in the proposal that is constructed will also contribute to the community, maybe in different ways. They may not attend neighborhood associations as much as those who live across the street, but I do think they could be genuine partners in furthering the vision for the neighborhood. So with that, I firmly believe that if the Sherman Associates proposal is chosen, that we can engage the neighborhood to improve it in a way that tackles several of the concerns addressed. And I am confident that we can work together to arrive at a really beautiful vision. So I know there are many that will be, they're not thrilled with this decision, and I really respect their opinions on this. And I did talk to my colleagues, but there were a couple of roadblocks.
Further comments or questions on the chair's motion to approve the staff recommendation? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. Seeing no further business before us, we are adjourned.